In this video, we are going to talk about what is the best stick to use. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go. Well, of course, if you want the answer straight away, the answer is, it depends. Easy get out clause, but it depends on you and also the context and situation and also what you want to achieve by what stick you're using. So I basically got 3 main categories of stick. There's light, medium and heavy. When you're starting out, I would suggest using a lighter to medium end stick because it's going to be easier to control, to get used to the motion, because you won't yet have built up the ability to control the heavier sticks while you're kind of flying and moving. When you're a little bit experienced, I would suggest using a medium stick, so the weight is now challenging to you and you still have to use some body mechanics to strike with it and also to block and respond. And with the kind of blocking and defenses, it's going to be easier to defend using a heavier stick because of the law of conservation of momentum, and momentum is mass times velocity. So if you have an incoming set of momentum that is going to hit your block or your defense, and you have a higher mass object in your hand, the resultant velocity is going to be lower because mass times velocity equals the momentum which is conserved. So if you have a great big huge heavy shield and somebody batters it with a stick that's kind of medium, then it's no big deal. But if you've got something that's really lightweight, like paper or a piece of balsa wood, and somebody batters it with a medium stick. Okay, I'm just in the middle of editing this video here and I thought I had to interject because paper and balsa wood are both terrible examples because probably those materials would fail and break and the incoming stick would just smash through them. If you can just replace those in your mind with something that's really lightweight but wouldn't break, so maybe like a bit of plastic pipe that's quite lightweight, or a really lightweight stick. So all we're thinking about here is about the transmission of force through this lightweight object into our hands and stuff. Okay, anyway, back to the main video. It's like paper or a piece of balsa wood and somebody batters it with a medium stick, then it's going to have a lot more velocity and you need a lot more technique to be able to deal with that defensively. So from a defensive perspective, heavier stick is going to be easier, but from an attacking and manipulating the weapon perspective, a lighter stick is going to be easier. So as you progress and you're able to use those heavier sticks you're able to manipulate those heavier sticks in order to kind of throw them properly and recover them more easily and not hyperextend your joints or tweak your wrists or anything like that, then moving up the scale of heaviness is a good idea to develop that body mechanics. Then, when you get to the more advanced stage of things, I'd actually suggest playing around with a lighter level of stick again, purely because it is harder to defend with a lighter stick, particularly if you're training with people who are using medium or heavier sticks to attack you with, because of that conservation of momentum. So if I'm using my lighter stick now and I'm blocking against somebody with a medium stick, it really means I've got to have all of my timing and body mechanics behind my block so that my mass is added to the mass of the object in order to reduce the incoming velocity when the momentum is transferred into me and my blocking weapon. Anyway, enough waffle about that. Got some examples here. We have these 3. These are all roughly the same length, about arm length sticks. So from about my fingertip to my armpit. See if I can do that one-handed. There we are. So they're all about the same length. This one here I'd call light and is also thinner. It's about the thickness of, you see that there? Yeah, about the same thickness as my finger at the knuckle end. And this one weighs 170 grams of weight. Next one up I'd call a medium stick. Here it is. It's kind of 2 pence piece, 50 pence piece, maybe 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches across. And this one weighs 300 grams. This one here is more like closer to 2 inches all the way across, a lot more sizable, and this one weighs 520 grams. In terms of gripping them, with the light stick, when I grip it, my fingers touch the meat of my hand before I've fully closed around the stick, so I can grip it. The harder I grip this, like my fingernails are starting to dig into the palm of my hand, and that's okay because it gives me some looseness and manipulatability, and a good strong closed grip because I can really fold my thumb over the fingers there, it's going to be harder for me to be disarmed, or it's going to be more damaging to my thumb if I don't let go. The medium level stick, which I find the most kind of comfortable, is when I squeeze my grip closed, the pad of my finger just touches on the meat of my palm, the meat of my thumb there. I can still loop that thumb over the top and still open and close for some extra snap. And this great big monster, my 520 gram monster, as I close my fingers, my fingertips don't actually reach the meat of my thumb here. The meat of my palm and the chicken drumstick of my thumb. I can just about loop my thumb over there, but there's less freedom for manipulation. And remember, I don't want to open my hand altogether because then I'm more likely to drop my weapon, which is not that great. So these ones I now use as a conditioning tool, because if I use it for a technique tool, then I find that I'm kind of pulling my strikes a little bit too short and I lose range. But if I use them as a conditioning tool, just like when you're doing punches and you're kind of shadow boxing, you pull your punches a little bit short, and that's okay because you're working that body mechanics happening here. It's similar with this big heavy stick, so I can use it in a smaller environment and still get a decent workout, not really have to swing a long way. If I'm training against other people, I tend to use my light stick for a couple of reasons. One, because it's forcing me to train good mechanics for defensive mechanics. And two, is that if I'm training against people who are less experienced than me, if I'm doing something with the intention of reaching their head or body or hand and they mess up their defense, this is so light I can manipulate it much more easily so I don't damage my training partner. Okay, hope that helps. Take care.